Welcome to Hippie sailing. I'm a 28-year-old solo sailor on my 27-foot double-ender sloop, starting my solo circumnavigation. I am currently on the Pacific side of Panama. I just crossed the Panama Canal yesterday. Today for you guys I have a little throwback to a year and a half ago in Maine when I anchored for the first time and took off for the very beginning of this trip, sailing in November from Maine to North Carolina through nor'easters and storms and boat leaks and things falling apart and everything just going crazy but being totally amazing. So we're gonna take a little time travel from Panama, where I am right now, to Maine, summer of 2018.
Rest of today, partly sunny.
Maine in the summer. This is my first trip anchoring my boat ever, and I'm so excited. I picked a cove with a nice muddy, shallow bottom and a lot of protection so that my first anchoring experience will be perfect, and so far, so good. Plot twist.
A chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Some thunderstorms may produce gusty winds and heavy rainfall this afternoon.
There's a big thunder and lightning storm behind me. I just put out 20 more feet of road, and I'm going to watch the GPS and make sure that nothing happens. And it's raining now. So it's raining and the thunder is pretty much right overhead. I'm hoping that there just was some lightning. I think it's gonna pass over me pretty okay though. Well, that was exciting. After the storm was over, the beautiful day came right back to me, and I rowed ashore, went exploring on this little rocky island with no inhabitants on it. Looking back on it now, it's funny. In my head, that storm was such a big deal. And now, of course, it's not really much of a thing, but as my first time out alone on my boat and also my first time anchoring, it was a big deal. So after that harrowing experience, I did some yoga by the sunset and just really enjoyed the feeling of freedom that sailing by myself brought. It was the first trip that I did, and it was really cool. It made me super excited for what was to come, which was going to happen a couple months later. But first, I had some summer to enjoy in Maine with my friends and family on my new boat. That summer in Maine, there was a virus that was wiping out a lot of the seal population, and it was super normal to be sailing along and come across the carcass of a seal with all of these sores on its body. It was super sad. Obviously, seals are adorable and their meat tastes delicious. I'm just kidding. If you talk to anyone who worked on the water, there were tons and tons of seals who are like this. But in happy pet news, my parents were leaving town for a couple days and asked me to pet sit their adorable fluffy cat.
What do you think, boy? You wanna come sailing? Yeah? Good, because you're going.
Chuck likes my banana bread. Shaq and I listening to Shakira in the car.
What do you think of the boat so far?
Yeah, I like it. About a month after I launched my boat, my dad and I finally finished installing my wind vane together, and I decided to take it out for a test ride without having ever read anything about how to do it. I was just like, oh yeah, I can totally just figure this out. Spoiler alert, I could not. So I just installed this thing with my dad the other day, and this is my first time taking it out. I have no idea how to use a wind vane, so I'm just kind of blindly figuring it out, which I wish I had read something that told me how to use it, but I'm kind of getting it. Luckily there aren't many boats out today. I feel like I'm finally starting to get it. It's just really touchy. It's like trying to teach someone how to sail who just way overcorrects all the time. Since learning is hard, my sister and I decided to go on a sister's trip together. We had really good weather the first day, and then it just got socked in with fog, but obviously we still had fun together. Day 5. We think that we're still at Harbor Island, but we are not sure. The land is rapidly receding to the fog. Morale is low. Morale is low. There's my tea bag. That's my tea bag. You can throw a tea bag in the water. We're watching it slowly drift away, hopefully to a better home. That's where we're going. Doesn't it look fun? Don't you wish you could be us? We are so ready for this. Jealous? Day 11. All we've had to eat today is this jawbone of some strange animal. Someone please come rescue us from this desolate rock. We are starving. Ah! A boat! Oh wait, it's our boat. Damn it. After 2 days of foggy island life, we decided to call it quits and go back to the main port. It's definitely raining out here. Appears to be raining heavily. Morale is somehow high. Probably because we have coffee. Ah! Spray! It's going down! I'm yelling! Holy Batman! This is no Joker! This is... Day 81! Rain was picked up. The rain is bullets in my eyes, and my goggles are too tight. Things are getting a little salty over here. Morale is still somehow high. Probably because we're almost home. Oh, I tried to stop it, but there's water inevitably coming down the hole. Oh, I forgot about the hole. Did you put the rag in it? Oh boy. Life is getting exciting. Is there a lot of water coming in the hole? Yeah. Turd burglar. Okay. Check out that chart plotter. Hot-wired right onto the battery. That was pre-iPad and navigation. Super exciting days those were. We finally got back into the harbor, tied up to my little mooring, and went back to my parents' house to have amazing hot showers and dry inside of a house experience. After a beautiful summer in Maine, I went back to my job in Antarctica for my very last contract before I quit to become a bum, jobless sailor. I got back from my job at the beginning of October and spent a flurried 2 or 3 weeks getting everything ready to go for my first solo trip from Maine to North Carolina. October is one of my favorite months in Maine. The tourists are gone, all the trees become beautiful, and it gets really cold. So when I was cramming everything into my sister's Geo Metro, from oars to jerrys to sails, I was also super bundled up. Going offshore seemed chilly, but first I had a long list of things to do, including getting a ton of provisions for the trip. On the 30th, I'm going to leave Maine and head south. I'm just really looking forward to the warm temperatures that I'm expecting for this time of year, and I think it's going to be a blast. This is what happens when your olive oil freezes. I've been slowly provisioning over the past couple days. Welcome to Holly's Kitchen. These things are really easy to eat. Basically, you just open up the tin foil and then eat the whole thing. You've heard of peel-off masks. Now how about peel-off mix? I don't usually buy a ton of sweets because I don't really have a ton of self-control, but I did buy these dark chocolate roasted mustachio treats, and I am so excited to try them. What do you get when there's a fire at the gym? Got some white kidney beans. Oh my god, did you hear there's a sale at the Whole Foods? This is where I keep my canned things. And the lamp oil. Do you know what the difference is between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? Maybe you should Google that joke. Virgin coconut oil for that special someone. I bet you didn't think there was such thing as bourgie canned food. There is. I've just told you about a lot of food, but among it all, this is probably my favorite. The best part about it being so cold is that I don't have refrigeration, but I don't really need it because my boat is colder than a fridge. I'm doing a little sea stowing before I go out. I just bought my logbook and check out how sick it is. Thank God I installed all these fans in my cabin. What would I be doing without them? Another benefit of cold weather sailing is that everyone else has already taken their boats out. I'm underway. First leg of the trip. Looks like I have great wind from here to Cape Cod, so I'm just gonna go check it out. I figured out my wind fade. Well, I'm just leaving Pemaquid Harbor right now, the point's behind me, and everything is going great so far. The wind is good. My wind vane seems to be steering me pretty well, so hopefully it keeps up. Goodbye, Pemaquid. Hello, weird islands. It's so gorgeous right now. I can't believe it. The wind is really awesome. It just died down for a second, but it's been great. If I average 5, I'll get to Cape Cod in about 30 hours. So, I'll probably get there. I don't know. Who cares about math when you have this around you? This is my first sunset underway. I'm so excited. It's so beautiful. Ah! Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. First sunrise. It was fucking cold last night. I am wearing 5 layers on top and I was still shivering. Didn't really get much sleep. There were a ton of ships and around midnight the wind totally died, so I wasn't able to make any way. But here I am. I'm about to make some breakfast and have some tea, and I should be getting to the canal if I keep this speed I'm motoring in about 9 hours, which puts me there 3 hours before the right tide. So, yay! I just saw a whale jump completely out of the air. I'm coming up on them, so hopefully they're still doing their thing when I come past. Happy Halloween! I ended up taking longer than I thought and spending that night in Provincetown, and then the next day heading over towards the Cape Cod Canal. There's the beginning of the canal right there. Motoring into the Cape Cod Canal. It's cold, and all I have is this sweatshirt, but I can't run below because of a lot of reasons. Mostly that it's narrow, and I don't want to hit the rocks. Gecko's first bridge! Ah! The Cape Cod Canal is really cool because you time it with the current and then you're basically going 8 or 9 knots over the ground and you just speed through this thing, but it's narrow. You can see people walking on either side and you're zipping along at speeds your little boat could never, ever master on its own. Once I got through the canal, I was in Buzzards Bay after dark. It was a little bit choppy and nasty, and I headed in to visit some family friends, David and Karen, who also gave me my dinghy, because I was waiting out the first of many nor'easters, and they put me up in their house for a couple nights and spoiled the ever-living daylights out of me. Best hosts ever. I felt really good and pampered, and especially after my first little transit, it was a really nice break from the boat life. My next stop from Buzzards Bay was Block Island. I just got done with a 5 plus 4, that's 12, 17-hour day of sailing. I'm exhausted. I got into Block Island and it was pitch black. So intense I couldn't see anything. But I made it. Ah! I'm about to take a washcloth bath. This is what I came through last night in the absolute pitch dark. None of these buoys are lighted. I have a feeble spotlight that was better than nothing, but definitely made me realize I should get a new one. But God, at least I had that. And I could hear the waves crashing on the beach on either side of me, and in the very pale starlight, I could just see the beach, which is not what you want to see when you're sailing. So I'm really excited / nervous because today I am entering Long Island Sound. Originally I'd planned on going outside, but I just wasn't getting the weather window that I was looking for. So I'm going inside. I think it's going to take a couple days, but there's some nasty weather on Tuesday. I'm stoked to be able to sail past the Statue of Liberty. I think it's going to be an experience that I'll always remember, but sometimes those are the ones that are the most intense. So anyway, just leaving Block Island now. I'm trying to steer between this crazy channel. Out here, and I think it's going to be a fast zip over. I just surfed through probably 10-foot breakers between these two little channel markers. It was 20 knots of wind and 5-foot seas against a 4-knot current coming into Long Island Sound. Holy shit! Adrenaline. Long Island Sound took me, I think, 4 days to get through. There was a lot of everything going on. I definitely had some foggy days, for sure, and I made the most of those by baking muffins. And I had some windy days. There was a lot of current. Every 6 hours it would switch, so no matter what I was doing, I was against the current half the time. But also, I didn't want to sail after dark because I still didn't have a good spotlight that shone more than about 10 feet in front of my boat. And since it was so late in the season, I was limited to, it was getting light at 6:30 and getting dark at 4:45. So I had not that much time to sail during the daylight either, and it was a slog, for sure. Well, the fog's finally gone, but now she's blowing something. I'm heading towards my last stop before the Statue of Liberty. I think I have 2 more days of doing this. It's good though. I would much rather be sailing than motoring in the fog. Another reason the Long Island Sound was so much work was because every night I would sit down with the current charts, with the chart, with the cruising guide that my friends David and Karen had loaned to me, and my notebook, and try to figure out where I was going to get, when, and how, and then go to sleep. I would wake up before it got light so that I had as much daylight as possible, so I'd be upping anchor while it was still dark and getting underway right as the sun was rising. And also, it was really cold, so I would get into my bed and finally get warm under about 2 feet of blankets, and then my alarm would go off. I actually had to set it all the way in the back of the boat so that to turn it off, I had to get out of bed. Then I would robe myself in a million layers. To get on my underlayers of clothes, I would slowly change as I was eating breakfast. So first I would change my top, because that would be really cold, and then by the time my new shirt that I was wearing for the day warmed up, I would change from my pajama pants into my regular pants, so that I was only half cold at a time. And once I was all the way rugged up, which still wasn't enough clothing, I would go out and start upping anchor and getting ready to get underway for the next destination. So it was a marathon. I wish I had more time in Long Island Sound, but hey. I'm going through Hell's Gate right now. Woo! How exciting! Things that are broken this week. My electric auto helm, my GoPro, and my iPod. I'm still having fun though, so that's good.
Oh my god, it's the Statue of Liberty! Oh wait, it's two cranes, the color of the Statue of Liberty.
Now going under the Brooklyn Bridge, all I can think of is the tree grows in Brooklyn. I was jamming out to T Swift's Welcome to New York during this. Bye Manhattan, hello wavy nasty guck out there. It's blowing 25 to 30 knots. I have discovered that I'm either incontinent or my fall weather pants leak. Both of them are a bummer. I don't even know which one I'd rather be true, but it's definitely not that I'm incontinent. So, time to go to my spare pair, which is just a pair of rain pants, but I might layer them underneath and use these as chafe gear, so to speak, but still be waterproof, because this is my last pair of long underwear, and now they're wet. I've decided to stop and pull in for the night in Great Kills Bay, which hopefully is not as terrible as it sounds. I'm going to wait for Saturday night for the weather to get better, and then I'm going to leave and make a run for Cape May, because right now this is supposed to start blowing up to 40, 45 or so, and I don't really want to be out in that. So this morning is the morning I'm supposed to leave Great Kills and make my way to Cape May. But I just listened to the weather and it's supposed to start dying down tonight. But the problem is I'm trying to thread the needle here because on Tuesday, today is Saturday, there's a huge system coming through with 50 knot winds and 12 to 15 foot seas. So I'm trying to make it to Cape May before the really bad weather, but after this weather kind of stops. And Sunday and Monday the wind dies down a little bit. So I'm thinking that if I can catch the tail end, I'll be able to make it. It's only 120 miles. So even though it's blowing 20 in the mooring field right now, this is the most cozy morning I've had since I left Buzzards Bay, because I'm not leaving here until around 2, so I haven't even gotten out of my PJs. I'm just hanging out, cooking, reading my book, looking at charts.
Tonight is Great Kills Bay, which hopefully is not as terrible as it sounds. I'm gonna wait.
Even though it's blowing 20 in the mooring field right now, this is the most cozy morning I've had since I left Buzzards Bay, because I'm not leaving here until around 2, so I haven't even gotten out of my PJs. I'm just hanging out, cooking, reading my book, looking at charts, and trying not to overthink the fact that I'm about to go out in 25 to 30 knots of wind. I decided to make a nice big soup for myself for when I was out there in the nasty wind, because I figured I'd be cold and I'd want something really warm and yummy and easy to eat.
This is what it looks like outside. Day that I'm leaving, pretty auspicious I think. Should make for a great trip. I don't see anything wrong with this weather. It just screams, leave and go offshore to me, right?
Okay, time to go get pummeled. The sun is setting, it's blowing 30 knots, and the waves are about 5 to 7 feet. I really hope everything dies down by tonight or it's gonna be super terrifying. It's 4 in the morning. I've discovered over the course of the night that my anchor chain locker has no drain and it's filling with water alarmingly quickly and emptying out through the entire bow of the boat into the head. So I just probably took out 3 gallons of water with my little pump and I'm gonna keep trying. It's really hard to be up there though because the boat's moving all over the place.
The situation, the whole V-berth is just soaking wet. everything. The hatch is leaking, anchor chain, lockers dripping all over the place. I'm trying to pump it out.
Thanks for watching this week's video. I'm so excited to get you guys almost caught up with my mad dash south through this crazy weather. As I was telling you guys in the beginning of the video, right now I'm on the Pacific side of Panama, just got through the canal, and I can't even tell you how happy I am to be on this side. The canal was an experience because my boat is tiny. I had to fit 1 million people on it. It didn't go fast enough, la la la. Lots of fun stories to tell you about that later. If you enjoyed watching what I'm doing and are interested in supporting me, I do have a Patreon account. It's patreon.com/windhippie. Thank you so much to all of my patrons who already support me in there. You guys are incredible, and you're helping me make this dream of sailing come true. I also have an Instagram account @BoatLizard. If you want to follow me on there, you can actually see some pictures of the canal crossing, and I post a bunch of stories of things that I'm doing currently. So that's a great way if you want to see a little more of life of me. The song that was playing in the beginning is covered by my dad. It's called 5'2". My dad is an incredible guitar player and also anything to do with boats. He can do that too. He's your guy. Thanks, Tish, for putting this video from Dropbox, where I upload it onto YouTube for me. It makes my Mondays so much less stressful with an unreliable internet connection in a foreign country. Thank you guys for all of your lovely comments on my videos. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks with another full-length video of the last trip south, making it to North Carolina just in time for Thanksgiving. And then I'll show you guys some of the projects I'm doing on my boat to get ready for the Pacific, and tell you about my Panama Canal experience and a little bit more about my itinerary for the Pacific Ocean and beyond. Okay, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.